All right, guys, welcome to the Ravit Show, and we have a special guest today, Dat Tran. He's the co-founder and CTO of Priceloop AI. Very excited to talk to him, and I'm sure there are many questions which would be coming in from your end in terms of AI, data science, and his journey. We've always known Dat Tran as the person who's like the AI expert. I've always been, his content has been so rich, and I've always been looking at him for all the AI stuff. So without wasting any more time, let's have that on board. Hey Dad, welcome to the Ravit Show. How are
Hey,
you?
nice to be here.
Amazing. I was just telling everyone about your expertise in AI. So just to begin with, I wanted to, let the audience also know about you in detail. So can you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Dat, as already said. I always give this introduction like data without A because someone just didn't really ask whether my name is really Dat. But it is. So as you already said, I'm the co-founder and CTO of Priceloop. So Priceloop is my new venture that I just co-founded together with Dr. Richard Schwenke. So Richard used to be the co-founder and managing director of Quatorian, which is now a 200 million big euro company. And our goal with Priceloop is that we want to enable basically e-commerce companies to make, I would say, smart, intelligent decisions for their pricing decisions that they have to make every day. And before joining, or I would say before co-founding Priceloop, I was the head of AI at Axel Springer. So Axel Springer is not really well known in Asia, but it's one of the biggest media company here in Europe. So, for example, Bild and Welt has a quite huge reach here in Germany. But also in the portfolio, there are also some US, I would say, outlets, for example, Business Insider or Politico, which are more, I would say, famous publishers that you probably would also know, like, for example, maybe in India. And
Yes.
there I basically built up the applied research team. So we were more focused on applied because when you start, it's better to start with applied things and then go into the full direct research area. And our main focus was more on text to speech. So basically, the whole audio and text to speech area is coming up right now. So there's a lot of newspapers coming up every day and code and so on. So it was a really right time to invest into that technology. And this technology is also really necessary because for Axel Springer as a publisher, in the future, you don't really only write something anymore, right? But you also, you want your content spoken out, and to do it in a scalable way, you basically build up your own technology. Um, and before joining Axel Springer, I worked with Idealo. Idealo actually belongs to the Axel Springer group. So the group has like a lot of different subsidiaries and daughter companies, and Idealo is one of these daughter companies. It's one of the biggest price comparison in Europe, and actually the largest one in Germany and a few other countries. And basically, there I was co-heading the data team. I was responsible for many different areas, such as business intelligence, data warehouse, data engineering. But also, I built up like a data science machine learning team, which were mainly focused on computer vision, like mainly on computer vision. So we did a couple of projects like image super resolution. So you have a very small image, right? And how can you create like like a certain technology, an algorithm that makes it larger and still looks good, right? And we use like guns for that, so generative adversarial networks. And then also, of course, we did very basic stuff from image classification to basically also creating like an algorithm to basically classify aesthetics, right? So like evaluate an image or assess an image based on its aesthetics. The coolest thing with Idealo is that we not only did that, so we not only open source the stuff, but many of the projects that we basically started also went into production, right? So this was really cool because At that time, it was not that easy, especially in Germany, to put models into production and basically see, what you've created, right, really on the front end, and really people, using that, and basically also affecting our end customers at the end of the day, right, and really
Right.
affecting the bottom line, which is really, nice, especially when you're working hard with your team, and you at the end of the day, yeah, there's really someone like using it, and and
Right.
yeah, then before Yalo, I basically I was with Pivotal. So Pivotal is a very large software company. I was part of Pivotal Labs. Pivotal Labs is the software consultancy, basically the enabler within Pivotal. So Pivotal's main product line was like Cloud Foundry, which is similar to Kubernetes, and then also the whole data practice. So they had Preplum. So Preplum is like similar to Redshift on AWS, right? And Labs is
Right.
basically the enabler for all those products that Pivotal created. And there I was part of the EMEA team. And we basically worked for many different customers, and that was pretty cool. So I had a cool few projects. So it was that time where I really started with my deep learning journey, where I already had the first deep learning projects. For example, I used deep learning to on this hydro planning prediction project, which was pretty cool. Other than that, I also worked with the Middle East, like a logistic company in the Middle East. Was also really, really cool projects that I did there. Yeah, that was shortly about me.
Oh, what an amazing journey! Trust me that I think how long it's been. You've been into this. How many years in rough? Do you have any idea about it?
Yeah, I think now I've been working for 6.5 to 7 years now. So
Wow.
it's just looking back, it's a long time already, like in my career. So it seems to me that since yesterday I've just graduated. So it's like, I thought like, oh wow, university already back then so much. And then when you look like before university, so like looking back at high school, you're like, wow, that's already
Right.
so long, bro.
Exactly. It's just been like 6.5 years, and it's such an amazing journey. It's like highly appreciated. Okay, so I'll just quickly let the audience be here. It's Ali who says hi, Ravit. Hi, guys. Okay, so Aditi is here. Hi, Ravit. Hi, Dad. What's the topic? Kunal Soni asked. So the topic is about that, about his journey. We've just heard his introduction about in last 6.5 years what he has done in the AI data science field. It's amazing. So feel free to ask questions around data science AI if you have any curiosity. Dad is here. He'll be answering all of them for you. So hi Robert, hi Dad. Greeting from Milan. Hey Suman from Chennai. Alok is here. Ravina Oswal is here. Hi, Dad. We will love to know how we can grow on industry more. Okay, we'll just take the questions after a while, maybe. But yeah, this. Do you want to answer this, Dad? How we can grow
And
a lot
yeah,
about the
sure.
data science industry? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about that because there's many industries, right, from finance to e-commerce. Um, I mean, there's many different ways how you can grow into that area, right? I mean, this field it hasn't been like long enough, so it's still very fresh. But now, over the last 5 to 6 years, I would say there has been like a more proper definition of what is actually data science, what is actually machine learning, right? So you have a lot of I would say now experienced hiring managers who understand like the value of machine learning and the different roles, right? Like from junior to mid level to senior to principal data scientist to the head of data science and so on, right? And along this level lines, you have many different areas that you need to focus on, right? When you're a junior, you're basically more a generalist, right? And there basically you start to, like, for example, maybe you graduate from university and you learn something about maybe computer science or math, or maybe there's a lot of courses in data science right now, right? And then you have a certain project that you already done, right? And then over the time like solve more problems and problems, right? And then understand more of these problems, and basically learn like a repetitive, like basically solving cycle in a way, right? And then the more you mature, right, yeah, basically this box, right, with more problem solution will be into this box, right? And then you basically just take one of these problems out, right? And then one is the solution out there from your experience box, right? And then you take it there, right? And this is, I would say, the learning process would be in the future, right? And the way how you learn is like very similar to other areas that you have in software engineering or in business intelligence or in any field, right? So you read, of course, new papers, new papers coming out, books, right? Medium articles, and then of course you're doing projects, right? Like real projects that basically you get this learning in the industry.
Quite some information. I'm sure it must have helped Ravi now. Okay, so we have Andrew Jones who's joined us. Hi, Andrew. Andrew is actually organizing a Black Friday giveaway. So a quick shout out to Andrew. He's doing an amazing job where he's getting all the data folks together and he's doing a Black Friday event for us. So superb, Andrew. Thanks for joining in. Okay. Hi, Ravit. Hi, Dad. Kate Stratney is here. It looks like her LinkedIn Live has some privacy options there. So
Mm.
yeah, Manisha Jain is here. So we have many people joining in. Ayush is here. Latloya from Florida. Hi Latloya. Hey Neeraj. How are you? Nice to see you. So everyone's joining in. We have questions already ramped up for you. But before going ahead, that I had a question for you around data science. What would be your, basic advice to the people who are starting their journey in data science? What should it look like? What is exactly that they need to look at and they don't need to worry about, because it tends to happen that it's so much pressure already when it's about data science that they feel. What is your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough question to be honest, because there's no, I would say, general like guidelines on how to get your first job in data science and so on, right? Uh,
Exactly.
I mean, there's of course some components that I would look into it, right, from my individual perspective, right? So, for
Yes.
example, when I look at some CVs, I really like, for example, if someone started something technical before, right? Computer science, math, stats, or whatever, right? But of course, that person can also just study, I don't know, literature or even didn't study before, right? So, but then that person has to showcase somehow, well, the patch, like how can you show passion into that area, right? For example, okay,
Right.
I did an online course or something like this, right? Or I participate a lot in Kaggle, right? So this is something that I would appreciate if people would be doing that. And then of course, not just doing this kernel competition in Kaggle, but like real competition, and where they get a lot of experience. Because the area where I work, basically, right, there's a lot of, like, you learn from experience. Like, this is similar what machine learning does, right? You learn from past
Exactly.
experience in a way, and basically, if you didn't study it, right, you have to showcase it somehow, right? Like whether through this online courses, technical competition, and so on. And then what I also like, from especially when they're junior, right, when they have good coding skills, right? Because I'm not really accepting people who are basically like, I would say, analysts, right? If you do an analyst work, that's fine, right? But um, for my kind of work, or for the kind of people that I'm looking for in the future, these are more like machine learning engineers or engineers, right, who can write proper code. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the work that I do and my team does in the past, or also the
Right.
team that I'm going to have in the future, we want to create software, right, that people will use at the end of the day, right, and not just any scripts or so on. Of course, it's a valuable skill to understand, to know descriptive statistic, do some plottings, right, to know how to use pandas and how to use Jupyter notebooks, right, such as to basically view your data and so on. I mean, this is not something that I would say I'm not looking into this, right, but it's not like the core strength. So for me, course, one of the core strengths is also to write proper software and to learn this, right? And other than that, I mean, there's many other stuff like curiosity, right? So you're always open to learn because the field itself, every day or every week, there's a new paper or new stuff coming up, right? And you really need to be updated in that, right? So you can't stop learning, and this is what I like. I'm in a field where change, is so, I would say, traumatic, and it's because every day there's something new, and I really love it because some
Exactly.
people, yeah, because some people they would be afraid of it, but for me it's nice because I'm still young, right? So I'm still like to learn about this stuff and see how things are changing, and this is really really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thrill is actually when the things are evolving, and then you can actually evolve with the world. And I think the best, it depends on person to person. You like challenges, you like the changes happening, and that's where you come from. So
Yeah.
it surely
And
depends on person to person. Yeah.
yeah, and also one important remark. If you folks out there are applying for data science or machine learning jobs and don't really get accepted or something like this, it's not about always about yourself. Sometimes you have a very nice CV, but the position might be filled internally, or there's not a lot of position out there, or it's the wrong timing, right? So I would say don't be like encouraged about that, disappointed about this, but keep on apply. There will be position that will be out there for you. There will be a right timing. It's all about luck, right? The more you keep on doing that, you will find a good position. It's the competition out there is high now, right? And sometimes it's just because the day is not right. Right? This is also always the case. I'm just saying it based on what I've experienced so far now.
Yeah, exactly. I can completely hear you because what happens is people, there are various factors to actually a job, and when people start applying, it can actually be in various places, various styles, and there can be many requirements which might not fit in. So it's not about being upset, it's just not the right day. Maybe that's how people should look at things. Okay, so talking of data science, actually, we have a question. Hi, Dad. Well, quick question. I'm new to data science learning with 10 plus years of experience, non IT background, airline customer service industry. Can you please confirm if I can make transition into data science?
I mean, the question is always stating. Of course, you can do it. You can do everything. It's always depending on your motivation whether you would like to do that, right? So it's the same thing for me. If I now want to become like a doctor, where I need to study for 5 to 6 or 7 years again, and this is about commitment, right? So of course, you can do it. There's no one stopping you. You have to take things step by step.
Yes, definitely. So, Ali, you don't need to stop if you have the passion, just go for it. That's what Dad says. Okay, so we have a question from LinkedIn user. What is the most exciting thing of being part of an open source project? Interesting question.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Um, I think the most exciting part of an open source project is actually when users are actually using that and basically finding an issue. Right? Because usually when you start with a project, you might done it internally and you see, wow, that might be cool for others, and it is a hypothesis, right? A hypothesis because it might be used for other people. But then the first day when wow, we're going to release it, we're going to maybe we get some traction, right? And people are really like using that in their projects, and they're talking about wow, how this helped them to do this and that, and then really also contributing, to your own project because it's your own baby in a way, right? Because you did that, you kept it for a long time, you nurtured it for a long time,
Exactly.
and then someone, it becomes bigger, and it has a use for that. It's really nice. So this is, I think, the most exciting thing for me in an open source project.
Wow, amazing. I hope, I don't know who the LinkedIn user was, but it's a great answer, Dad. Um, so we have something negative by Chayan Khaduria. What, according to you, is the worst aspect of data science?
I mean, the good thing in data science or machine learning is also one of the worst things, and this is actually about huge things, right? If you have a lot of new stuff coming up, you have always to keep yourself updated in a way, right? And of course, I myself, I'm the more I progress in my career, the more things I have to focus on other stuff than just the research part and just the coding part, but I have to take care of recruiting, I have to take care of finance, marketing, etc., and so on, and branding, and whatever what exists out there, to have a successful kind of like a team, right? And if you have so many changes, I myself, kind of like lack somehow the time to basically keep up with everything that is going on in this area.
Right.
But other than that, besides that, I think there's not a lot of worse aspect of data science. I think there's a reason why so many people want to work in this field, and there's a reason why so many people, I would say, where they are in this field, say this is one of the best things that they've done in life, because it's a cool job. I really like doing that.
It depends on person to person again how you look at it. A person can actually look at it in a positive and a negative manner too. Like you say, machine learning is a good thing and a bad thing as well. So it clearly is something very much dependent on person. But talking of that, I always wanted to also know about what do you exactly do at Price Loop AI? That what's your exact role? That this is something
Mhm.
that you look after. Okay, you have a team there running with you, but what is Price Loop building for the future? What does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, is that we are early stage, so we just co-founded the company. I would say 6 weeks ago, and the
Wow.
registration was 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago. So it's not long time ago, and we are just me and my co-founder. And at the moment, we are only focusing on hiring the first engineers, especially sub engineers. Right. So we will have machine learning engineers as well, but our main priority at the moment is sub engineers will help us building the product, right? And at the end of the day, if I would say it in simple layman terms, it's going to be like a really cool data platform, like easy to use, right? Where you can basically send in data in very easily from a customer standpoint, and then on top of that have intelligence, like this pricing decisions that we're going to integrate into, so that basically, at the end of the day, these pricing managers at e-commerce companies can make automatic decisions, and really data-driven decisions, because a lot of decisions in companies these days are still very non-data driven, right? They're made by
Right.
guts, or they are very manual. So someone has a BI team, hey, please aggregate this data for me, and then send me like a PDF and whatever, and then I'm going to make that decision. So we want to also like have a platform where you can make time critical decisions and very transparent decisions.
Amazing. I think that's we're just looking forward to the products which are coming up, uh, and also sending a few folks your way to join your Price Loop AI company, which sounds superb. So, talking of that, we have a question from Aditya Nimade.
Mhm.
How do we decide which algorithm would suit our problem best based upon data sets, feature extraction, and feature dependency elimination? Which accuracy percentage would actually decide that? Wow, too technical.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a really general answer to this as well, right? So
Right.
you chose the algorithm best depending on the problem that you have on hand, right? So I cannot really give like a general, like you choose logistic regression, choose, I don't know, like a deep learning model, right? There's no one would tell you, hey, choose this and that. What I would say, it's more about the process. So when you start with a problem, you should choose an algorithm that is simple enough, right? That is simple enough so that you create a baseline. Because from there, you can take more fancy models, complex models, and then try to beat the baseline. Because without a baseline, there's nothing. You cannot judge anything, right? And in terms of accuracy percentage, it's a similar thing. So, of course, in literature, it says an accuracy of which is below 70% or below 85% is bad. But the problem is what makes the accuracy kind of baseline bad, right? So if a human makes a decision, right, and he's only 10% right, or 5% or 20% right, and if a machine makes a decision and it's already 60% right, is already good enough, right? So it really depends on the problem that you have and also on the criticality of the problem. So, for example, if you are in terms of self-driving cars, right? Of course, their
Right.
accuracy of 99% is important, right? Because if you make a mistake, it will cost life, right? But if you are making
Exactly.
a decision in marketing or in business, where 5%, when you're sending a wrong email to a customer, or like many customers, uh, it might be not as critical as in the self-driving car case.
Right. That's so true because now it depends upon which area you're looking at. If it's about obviously self-driving cars, it has to be that accurate, and
Mhm.
not in terms of marketing or maybe the other decisions that the company is making. That estimation gap can be there. So yeah, makes sense. I hope Aditya got his answer very well. Thanks for asking that amazing question, Aditya. We have an interesting question from
Mhm.
Matthew Emrick. What was the hardest part in transitioning into AI? How much support did you have?
Uh, this is this is probably a question that would be, like, from my perspective, hard to answer, because I naturally went into this area, because 5 to 6 years ago, it was quite a new topic here in Germany. So when I first started my career, I joined Accenture, um, in their consultancy business, and basically they just started a new team or new practice, which was called Advanced Analytics at the time, and that was more focused onto, I would say, how can we make use of SaaS, and do analytics project. But basically, I was more, because I did a few courses already during university, machine learning. I was more focused on, wow, I'm more interested to machine learning, right? And at that time, I was like, telling the managing directors, hey, this is a nice area, and then luckily we already had also a project, right? And then it was kind of given that I was going to this project because I wanted to do that. I had a passion to do that, and I was at the right timing. So for me, I didn't really had to fight to do that, right? And I didn't really had to transition into somehow, because I was naturally growing to that area.
Wow. So obviously, yeah, makes a lot of sense because you've just started with AI. It's not been like you've transitioned from somewhere like data science or data science or somewhere from there. So makes a lot of sense. Okay. So Matthew says I was also in Accenture before joining Pact. Weird coincidence.
Mm.
Thanks, Matthew, for asking that amazing question. Okay. Talking of actually, AI, I also had an amazing question for you that I felt I always wanted to ask was
Mm.
about your inspiration in AI field. Who has been that person that you look up to? Not just one, if there are many. I would like to know about them and why AI, basically.
I mean, as you already said, there's many people that I would say I wouldn't say I'm look up to them in a way, but I would say I'm inspired by them, what they do, and what kind of
Exactly.
research they do. For example, um, one of the, like, when I started with machine learning, of course, like many, I did this course with Andrew Yu. So like his machine learning course in Stanford, and so I really appreciated that he put that course online, because he's a really great teacher, and it was really like mind blowing for me to open up this kind of topic. I mean, to be honest, a lot of things that he did, I had this already somehow in university. For example, like supervised learning was somehow called linear regression. Right? I had linear regression somewhere already, even logistic regression, and I had gradient descent in my optimization course and so on. But then, he was combining it into the area where I felt like, wow, this could be something, where you could, make a living out of this, and that,
Right.
inspired me a lot. Other than that, I'm very interested into what other researchers are doing. I mean, it's not really looking up to it, right? So, for example, I appreciate what David Ha is doing in terms of like arts and machine learning, or even Rafik Anadol, right? I really appreciate, like, see, wow, these are pretty cool things what they are working on. And then of course, everyone else who contributes to the progress of machine learning over the last 10 years, whether it is Hinton, whether it's Yannick Kuhn, right? So there's many people out there. So to name a few.
It's just that pick a few from few people, and it's like a journey. Obviously, that you learn when you go ahead in the field. You learn from certain people, and that's what you gather all together.
Yeah.
But amazing
Yeah.
journey
I
and
mean,
amazing inspirations. Yeah.
the most important thing is this field is not defined by only one person, not only by two-person or three-person, right? But by so many people. And if you look at what, for example, and Kuhn worked on 20 years ago, right? He worked on like computer vision stuff, like convolutional neural network, right? So many years ago already, right? And now it's becoming popular, right? So there's so many of these areas where you can think of, wow, so many people laid down the foundation already for us to use that. And also, I appreciate everyone who worked on these libraries like TensorFlow or PyTorch, right? I mean, we have a lot of people bashing, TensorFlow, and we have also this fight TensorFlow with this PyTorch, and why PyTorch is not better than Keras and so on. To be honest, folks, because people like François Chollet wrote Keras, right? We have this stuff right now because even PyTorch is as good as it is now because of all the previous frameworks that came out before, like Chainer, like Tianos, and so on, right? So it's not because PyTorch is so good already, it's because all these other frameworks made it so good.
Right, exactly. It's like a journey. It's like there, there are. It's like a compounding effect that
Yeah.
okay, Python just came in with a few frameworks and that made it good after a while. But yeah, great. We have a question, little on soft skills,
Mm.
by Giovanna. That, in your opinion, what are the key soft skills that every data scientist should sharpen?
Yeah, there's of course there's a few things, but I would say one of the most important thing that I still see is communication skills, right? Because you work in an area where things can be very complicated and very complicated, especially when you use very fancy deep learning models, and when you work in a company where not a lot of people know the technical terms, and maybe you need to work with software engineers, right? And finding simple language so that you can explain it to business users, right, or non-technical users is a very important skill for a data scientist. Of course, there's many other soft skills that you need to have as well, like analytical thinking, being structured, and so on. But I think this is other areas needed as well.
It sounds like a very good thing where communication is the key, where you need to know that if your communication is that right, even if it's about data science, things might go very smooth. So sounds superb. Also, that talking of that, I wanted to also know about your dream business. Did you ever have a dream business that I know you've already been a founder, co-founder, and worked with many teams, and did all of that. But what is like the actual dream in this field that you want to have that business? That this is what I want to cater. This is my or this should be actually my audience.
Yeah, I don't. This is a tough question. So I don't really have a dream business, but I have a dream. I would say company culture that I want to create. Right. So I want to create a company, which basically has a great impact on the society. And maybe at that time I have great people working with me and for me, and all of us together, right, for a greater value, so that we can basically, for example, solve a certain problem of some users, right, or some people. and it's more like values instead of like dream business. So I don't really care whether I should be in the automotive industry or the airline industry. Of course, there are some restrictions, so I don't want to do like or be involved so much into military stuff or or stuff that is kind of like destroying the environment or basically kind of destroying our democratic values and so on. So there's many of these companies out there, and I think they are dangerous, right? And I don't want to basically be part of this kind of like companies.
Right, that makes a lot of sense because obviously you would want and I like your answer where you said more than a company, you would want people to be working together and create those values where they can, easily connect with each other and know how. Then maybe if you connect with people that well, also, how you said about communication skills should be that well. If we connect with people that well, it already creates a good company, and that can be actually a dream business, which sounds amazing. Also, that talking about that, we have a question from Neeraj Satpal. That trend, how do you tackle these challenges in data-driven pricing approach, convincing businesses to make time, allocate people, and make money getting organizational buy-in and breaking down data silos.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we're trying to do right now. So I don't have really a complete answer whether it worked or not, right? So my co-founder and me, we're basically trying to making all of these efforts right now. So we're talking to many C-level people like who basically are running e-commerce companies. We're trying to get their buy-in, of course, so that they allocate people, so that we get access to data. We are currently looking for pilot customers as well, right? Who wants to test the solutions in the future. Then we're going to do like also testing. So testing is something quite new in pricing. So many people know about A/B testing in marketing or product, but in pricing, not a lot of people are really testing pricing decision, and we also want to do that in the future as well.
Wow, amazing. I think you're just in the process. You're just in there, right there, and ready to just bang in. So sounds like a plan. Also, that how often do you visit conferences? Do you visit conferences?
Mhm. Yeah, of course, I visit conferences. I mean, not now, so it's hard during Corona time. I mean, sometimes there's an online conference, and if I'm interested, I go there. And I speak a lot at conferences, so this is quite good for me. I love to go on conferences because conferences give me basically kind of a new perspective on what people are currently working on. And, I think also I'm not sometimes not really interested sometimes in topics that people are speaking of, but more about like the connection that you have with people afterwards. Like if you're talking to people, what kind of problems are they
Exactly.
working on, what they're facing on, and maybe there's also after show party, right?
Yeah, exactly. I get it completely, and I think it's important as well to connect with people and know what's actually going around and what are they expecting out of you as well. I know you have visited a few conferences. I've already seen you and all of those things. So also about conferences, I always make sure that I ask another question is about writing a book. When do you plan to write a book, or already you've written a book?
No, I haven't really written a book, and um, actually, I mean, it's something that I don't know whether I should do it. I mean, I love writing, so it's a funny thing because when I was younger, I actually aspired to be a journalist. So I really loved writing, and it's what I can do really good, really well. But the problem is, I don't want to write a book like just a book. It just wouldn't really put a lot of efforts into that, and I'm not quite sure whether I would have the time for this now. Maybe when I become older, and have more time, I would dedicate to that. But so far, I really haven't planned on to write a book.
Definitely. I think that you need that right space of mind when you think of writing a book, and you need to be in that space that, okay, now, you try to get 6 months or 4 months of your time to just write a book and to get it to that level. So makes total
Yeah.
sense. Also that before, wrapping up, I had a last question for you. which was about if you read books, which are maybe one, two, three favorite books that you can recommend to people that they can read and they can learn out of any. Or if you want to mention them later after the show, we can do that as well. But any that you know right now.
In terms of machine learning or general books that I like to read in the past, or
Anything. Maybe I think something very generic in data science and
yeah.
AI, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I don't really have a particular book on my mind right now. There's many great books out there in terms of machine learning. For example, even if you just take the books that, for example, Ian Goodfellow wrote a very nice book in deep learning, right? There's this machine learning book by, oh, I forgot the name, but it's a professor in I don't know whether in Oxford or Cambridge, but he recently released it. Actually, it's for free as well, right? So I had a look at this book when I started with machine learning as well. Um, Sorry, I'm very bad with names. I have it at home, but I'm very very bad at remembering who
No
wrote it.
worries. No worries. We'll put it after the show. We'll put it for them after the show.
Yeah.
But just one or two questions last, which are actually interesting, and I would want people to know about,
Okay.
is how possible is it to break into AI without science background, since it has a lot of mathematics foundation from
I
wherever.
mean, the question is, if you don't have a science background, the question would be, how do you learn to get this science background, right? Now, you cannot go into this area and then and if you don't have it, you have to somehow learn it, right? So there's no way of avoiding it. It's the same thing when I become a doctor. I need to understand all the basics of anatomy and the, the, the body and so on, right? So I need to learn it.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. Science background is must if you're getting into AI or data science. It is the base to get into something.
Yeah. And it's
So yeah.
most importantly, it's not rocket science.
So everyone, it's not rocket science. It's just science. So just don't be afraid of it and listen to that and just go for it if you have that passion. Definitely. Okay, one last question from Suman. Integrating AI ML modules with existing products platform as accelerator, testing its efficiency, then adding it to their backlog and pricing product. Okay, well, more revenue, launching new products with all new AI. Okay, he just meant to say this. He just wanted to make sense, Suman. I
Mhm.
guess
Yeah,
definitely. So this was just the looped answer for your pricing strategy, I guess, which
yeah.
needed Satpal asked. Yes. Okay, so I think it was a great session. I have learned a lot. That thanks for being on the show and taking your time out. And how was your experience on the show? I'll definitely want to know about it through our feedback post the show. But I'll for the audience, I'll pick the names of the books that you mentioned and the courses that you have mentioned, and I'll post it on the same window for them to have a look at it and if they can, find it insightful. But just one passing while wrapping up the show, are you hiring for Price Loop AI so people can reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of machine learning engineer applications ready, so we are at the moment looking for software engineers, so full stack software engineers, who have a very strong focus on front end, and we're hiring.
Amazing. So it's like obviously Price Loop is a place anyone would want to work because the values which you already spoke about in the show, that you want people to work together and have those like-minded together. So amazing. Thank you very much, that again for being on the show. It was amazing to have you. And okay, Ayush says thank you for the session. Ravit and that. Stephanie says thank you for the interesting insight. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining in. Thank you, Dad, again for joining
Okay,
in.
see ya, and thank you.